Hidetaka Miyazaki, who is the president and director of From Software, the developers of Elden Ring and the Souls games, has famously been quoted when asked about his game's difficulties. And I quote, "We don't want to include a difficulty selection because we want to bring everyone to the same level of discussion and the same level of enjoyment. So we want everyone to first face that challenge and to overcome it in some way that suits them as a player. We want everyone to feel that sense of accomplishment. We want everyone to feel elated and to join that discussion on the same level." If you played any of these games, you'll know that they're relatively easy to control and understand, but they're punishing. But if you master it, you felt exactly what Miyazaki is describing here. I think this difficulty and accomplishment relationship very much applies to fighting games, and especially 2XKO, as 2XKO is the dirtiest, sweatiest, and most difficult modern fighting game that I've played. Through the blood, sweat, and tears is a extremely rewarding experience. So today I wanted to talk about my experience with the game the first few days of the Alpha Lab, because I have never played a game like this. I've got about 3 years of fighting game experience at this point, and truth be told, there's nothing like this. And not gonna lie, even I was pretty discouraged, and I've been pretty much 2XKO Glazer #1, right? But I want to talk about how to tackle the vast amount of things in this game, slowly but surely. So if you're on the fence about 2XKO, or even fighting games as a whole, to give you some advice from my experience these past few days, because there's something here in this game, something I can't really put to words. To preface this, the Alpha Lab doesn't really have an in-game tutorial is that great. It doesn't have skill-based matchmaking that I'm aware of, so this does not reflect the final build of the game, right? I'm sure they'll get that out of the way later, but to learn about the system mechanics, there's a bunch of guides out there. I won't be covering them, more so how to approach the game. And if you've been playing a bunch of people who are like way stronger than you, then just keep that in mind too. A lot of the people who are in this alpha, they got priority access by going to Evo, which is like the Super Bowl of fighting games basically. So basically all those people are in here and they've been playing fighting games, right? I don't usually do this at the beginning of the video, but if you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing. I'm super close to hitting that 1,000 mark, so I can get that sweet YouTube money. So I would appreciate it if you hooked it up. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, first off, with any fighting game, I think you should focus on the system mechanics as a whole, because no matter what character you play, the game systems will always be there. And 2XKO has got a ton of them. It's got burst, it's got a bunch of defensive mechanics, the tag mechanics, the fuses, advanced movement, and on top of all that, you have to learn 2 characters at the same time. Jesus Christ, this game's got a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go through my priorities when learning this game, and just do this one step at a time, right? You don't need to remember to use everything, but just slowly implement as much as you can handle. You need to like play a lot of games to get used to your controls first, right? So the system mechanics, again, address these one at a time. The ones I would focus on using is your burst, because this is basically your get out of jail free card when you make a mistake. Use it early. Basically, if you use it, it regens. So the longer you hold on to it, you're depriving yourself of getting another one later in the match that, you know, might get you a win. So remember to use it. And the second one I would probably focus on using as well is retreating guard. This is basically a really good way to get away from an opponent who's stringing you up. And as the opponent, they have to do certain things to punish this. So it's not that bad to get used to using, because they have to structure their offense in a certain way. And, you know, most people won't be doing that right away. Then I think you should focus on using the push block, as it's less risky than going for parry. It's more of a low reward, less risk option. So I think it should be used pretty liberally to get you out of stuff. Then when you're comfortable enough with the game, you can start adding parry to your game plan. There are certain things like Darius Decimate follow-ups, you can parry on reaction, and then you can start going for hard reads to use this later on. This one's tougher because you got to do 2 different inputs, and the punish window is pretty hard. And if you don't do it correctly, you just waste your meter and they could punish you for it. So yeah, this is probably the most advanced mechanic in the game. So find out what things to parry and you'll be good to go. Now, to address the team aspect of this game, there's 2 characters, right? You got to play 2 characters. This sounds pretty obvious, but just focus on one character first, right? Let's talk about how to do that. Get used to using all their moves. Let's say you graduated from Pulse Fuse. All you need to start gaming is the universal B&B. You could do this on both characters. It's like light, medium, heavy, launcher, medium, heavy, special move. And then when you get that down with both characters, you can focus on learning a more complex combo with your primary character, your point character. Focus on learning that until it's consistent to build up your execution and familiarity with the control scheme. Once you're comfortable, just rinse and repeat with your second character, right? I said that I was going to focus on playing Darius along with Ekko and Ahri, but when I did combos with Darius, they were like actually harder than I thought they were going to be. So I switched to just playing Ekko and Ahri because I figured the time would be more well spent focusing on the characters I actually wanted to play. I pretty much focused on Ekko the first 2 days. I just spammed Ahri back assist and basically just flailed with Ahri if Ekko died. After I got more comfortable with Ekko, I just started messing around with Ahri in training mode, trying to figure out how her moves work together, and now I feel a lot more comfortable with her as my execution leveled up with Ekko. So she's a little bit more on the same level as Ekko. Now I'll go back to Ekko and try to level him up, and then you'll just keep alternating basically. Really focus on your point character because they're the first character that you'll be playing primarily. Now if you're not going to use the pulse fuse, I think a couple of the fuses are much easier than the freestyle fuse, which is probably the most complex and probably the hardest to use effectively. 2x assist is great for this as it gives your solo character stronger with minimal quote-unquote effort. If you've been playing in the Alpha Lab, you've probably seen this fuse paired with Ahri a ton with the back assist, and for good reason. It's really bugged. I mean, it's really good. It's also bugged, but we'll talk about that later. Double down is also good for this, as you can cash out for big damage just by knowing your super into super combo. You don't really have to worry about your second character's combos. You could just do big damage with your primary character, right? Fury works really well too. This was the original beginner fuse before they added pulse. There's no extra mechanics other than the dash cancel. You won't have to worry about it until you're low health, but overall it just does extra damage. You don't really have to think about it, right? So yeah, just pick your poison. I like 2x assist a lot. I get to use using assist twice is really good. It feels weird playing other fuses because I'm like trying to use my assist twice. But fuses in general are a great way to kind of freshen up the experience and give you a new perspective. I considered using double down or fury when I was trying to focus on Ahri on point, just to like lighten up my mental stack, right? There's just a lot of things you could do in this game to lighten your load when learning a new character, which leads me to what I think is a super awesome feature of the game. It's obviously duos, right? I can sing the many praises of duo play, but the most important thing is that you can just focus on one character. And if you're getting overwhelmed, you can kind of like coach each other to look out for certain things or remind each other of things you should be doing. And of course, it's just really fun to play with your friends, right? Now, I wanted to talk about the hardest part of the game for me when I started the first day, and it's the long combos. So on the topic of the long combos, I'm not really interested in the discussion surrounding some of the combo damage or length of these RE BNBs, but I was surprised at the amount of links and manually timed things in the game. I thought it was going to be much more like Guilty Gear, which has like some links, but they're kind of few and far between. But in this game, there's a lot, actually a ton. Remember when I said that Darius combo? So Darius has a follow-up on his forward S2, I believe, and then you have to like link a normal after it. So I was actually kind of surprised. This game might not have motion inputs, but goddamn, the combos in Street Fighter 6 and Guilty Gear, they are way easier. But to start, you don't need all of that. With Ekko, I just started with light, medium, heavy into medium, heavy, S2, S2, and then I just started gaming to get used to the control scheme, right? The next day, I really wanted to do those cool time winder setups. I'm sure you've seen them. And all I needed to do was adjust my second S2, which is replay. I needed to use down S2 instead of the second S2, right? Which is the kick up. I practiced this delayed teleport for so long and I just couldn't land it. But with enough effort and as the day went by, I was able to like get it like a little bit more consistent, and then the next day I was able to pull off the whole setup, and it was freaking awesome. And the cool thing about this setup is like if they get hit by it, you just do the same combo again, but it switches sides, so I had to get used to like doing it on both sides. Long story short, with enough effort, I was able to pull off the setup and I was so hyped. The thing I wanted to really get across about 2xKO's difficulty is without the difficulty, it doesn't feel as rewarding, right? And that's what I think they're going for with this game. You can play and have fun doing really basic stuff, ABC, pulse fuse, yada yada yada. If you want to put in the effort, you'll be rewarded for it. So now that I have this Ekko sequence down pretty consistently, I wanted to level up my Ahri, and I took the basics first approach with her, right? The first Ahri combo I wanted to do was this one right here. It's freaking long and it's really hard. It has air dash cancels and S1 air dash cancel, blah blah blah, and I was just getting really frustrated with how hard the air dash cancel was. It's really tight, and because it was so long, I didn't want to spend too much time practicing combos since we have only a couple days in the Alpha Lab. So I just started experimenting with Ahri, and I kind of figured out how her moves work by myself. And essentially I found my own combo that I think looks cooler than the one I showed. It starts with light, medium, heavy launcher, right? And I feel like I have ownership over it because I made it up myself. It does the job of using meter, it does damage, and maybe no one else is using it. I'm not sure because everyone else is doing the other combos. Next, I found out if you hold this Ahri level 1, the orb, it will actually pick up the opponent for Ahri to run up and combo a normal into level 2. This is a super easy combo that uses all of Ahri's meter, which was really cool because I thought only Yasuo could do that. But this is where I really fell in love with the game. All that Ekko practice like paid off, right? From 5H, you can actually tag launch back to your other character, combo into Ekko's level 2. But not only that, if you're using Ahri, you can use her back assist for a pickup. Oh wait, there's even more. Since I'm using 2x assist, I can do a double pickup, which does hella damage because Ahri's back assist is bugged. Which we'll talk about later, and then combo into level 2. So with how freeform the game system is, I was able to make up my own combo that I don't see people doing. And then I used my partner and my fuse to create this combo myself. And this is just 2 characters and 1 fuse. I could totally swap out fuses to come up with new stuff. And most importantly, don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Fighting games are very personal. It's your journey. And I really wanted to like nail that home with like my own Ahri combo, right? I wanted to play this character, and I just said, fuck it. I don't need to learn this combo. I'm just going to do something that works. And I was able to come up with my own personal like stuff with her. And I think that's what's really great about this game. So just go at your own pace, put in the work, and you'll definitely see results. Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! Oh, this took so much work. Oh, I'm so hyped. But yeah, 2x KO is hard. Having 2 characters was really hard for me, but it allows for this infinite depth of the game, and like it's just so rewarding pulling stuff off with such a freeform system. But with things like pulse fuse, universal BNBs, duos to allow you to have, the game has so many small goals to slowly improve your game over time. And I think it's a really well thought out design philosophy because there's cool stuff you can do if you keep playing. And on the topic of the long combos and the Ahri bug, they already addressed that the back assist damage scaling is a bug, and they want to target some of the combos they've seen. I think with a game as freeform as this, having the alpha lab was super important to them so they can see the game like cracked wide open from so many different perspectives. And the combos I'm doing, I don't think they're that long, to be honest. I think the Ahri combo I showed is the only long one. It gets even longer because she can like do level 1 into level 1 into level 1 basically. Other than that, I'm able to do pretty big damage for pretty short combos comparatively to those. So I hope that they don't tighten it up way too much because, you know, if they're way shorter, I can't like constantly chase that feeling of like hitting a harder combo. You know, if this combo still exists in the full build of the game, yeah, I won't complain. I'd learn it. I can see why people think it's kind of annoying, but you know, I would learn it. if I keep playing Ahri, that is. I think she's kind of on a struggle bus. And again, if you're playing this alpha and feel like some of the people are hard to fight, there's not really a skill-based matchmaking to my knowledge. So consider finding people in some discords. There's the main 2xKON, or I'm in Diaphones, and just find people of your skill level. And all that being said, I think it's okay to admit that this game is not for you, or even fighting games, and that's okay, right? But this game has something which I alluded to at the beginning of the video, and I think what it is its soul.
This isn't about building a game where new players have a chance to beat the pros. It's about unlocking the fun at all skill levels.